everybody, and welcome back to On the Creek. For today's video, we're going to be doing Intro to Fishing, tying your first fishing rig. We're going to start off with a couple simple knots and the beginner rig that I started on. It's really simple to tie, it works great with any type of live bait, and it'll at least get you started. So the first thing we need to look at is this yellow line here. This yellow line is going to represent the end of my main line. Okay, so the main line is a line that comes out of your reel and goes through your eyelets and to the end of your fishing rod. So for our sake, we're going to say the fishing rod is that way. So we have the end. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to tie a surgeon's knot or a surgeon's loop, as some people may call it. And it's one of the easiest knots that I use for fishing, and it's really strong for the most part, and it's a great starter knot. So all you have to do to tie a surgeon's loop is you take the line and you fold it in half. This creates a loop. Then you take that loop and you put it together and shrink it down and you roll it over itself. Now, if you can see this here, this creates a double loop here and a single loop here. So because we went around the back side, this goes around behind itself. We're going to wrap this around and through. If I can get it, around and through. And what that basically did is it tied a knot around the loop. And then your tag end is here. So we'll cinch down this knot, pull it real tight, and we're left with this here. Now this is called the tag end. We want to cut that off because we don't want too much tag end. So we'll take our good old nail clippers here, and we're going to cut the tag end off. Done deal. So you have a loop. Now this is the easiest knot that I've ever learned to tie in fishing, and it can be used for connecting hooks to lines and sinkers. So for our first rig, our high-low rig, we start out just like we did here with our loop, at the end of our line. So this is the very end of our main line. And we tied our surgeon's loop, and then we want to take a weight. I'd say somewhere between 3/4 and 1/2 ounce bell weight would work for your first rig. And you can adjust that depending on the flow of the water or whatever situation you're in. So you're going to take this loop and you're going to put the loop together so it'll go through easier. You're going to take the weight and you're going to put the loop through the sinker here. So as you can see, the sinker's through. You're going to get it past the knot, and then you're going to take the sinker and put it through the loop. When you cinch this tight, it will hang. So there's our first knot here. We got our sinker tied on. So now we got a weight on the end of our main line, and we want to add a hook. So we'll pull the line down, figure where we want to do our next knot. So what we'll do is we figure we'll put the knot right here. So we fold our line in half. Just like we did before, and we make a loop. We take that loop, cinch it down, fold it over itself, and we make 2 loops. Put the loop through the center, the single loop through the center of the double loop, and pull it tight. And then I like to put a little knot in there just for extra measure. Any knot, standard knot, I just put it over itself and put it through like you tie a knot in a shoelace. And that just keeps the line from sliding, because monofilaments and fluorocarbon lines are very slippery. So that'll lock down our rig. So our rig so far is we have a loop on our main line, somewhere about, let's say, 9 or 10 inches above our weight. So we have to add a hook. So what I use here is a snelled hook, and a snelled hook is this is the number 4 bait holder hook, and it has a pre-tied snell, so a line on it, and at the end of the snell is a surgeon's loop. So now we need to connect our hook, and if you look here at our snell, you want it to kind of be slightly longer than the snell. See, the weight's down here. There's our snell. So when we want to put our snell on, we take the loop in the main line and the loop on the snell. We put the snell loop through the main line loop, and then we put the hook through the snell loop. We pull this tight to make a good knot. And as you can see, that will tie your line together. So the way your rig ends up is you end up with your weight below your hook. I'm trying to get this in view here so you can see. This monofilament has really good memory to it. So if I pull this straight here, you can see the hook sits. So when the hook sits on the bottom of the river, this will float off the bottom a little bit and move with the current. So now you could take this rig and you could run it up your main line another 8 to 10 inches, and you could tie another loop, and you could add a second snelled hook onto there, and now you've got a high-low rig. So it works with 1 or 2 hooks. If you put 2 hooks on there, it gets a little easier to snag, so you don't want to use that in like a bottom where it's real messy. So the great thing about this rig is it's very easy to change your gear. So if you're not really sure what you're doing, and say you put on too heavy of a weight, so you go to the weight and you push this back through the center of the eyelet like so, and then you pull this off your weight, pops that off, your weight comes off. You can put on a smaller weight. But when the weight's on there, through the eyelet, through the weight, through the line, and then you cinch the knot at the top like we did last time. This is tough. You're not, no matter how much you pull, this isn't coming. You know, you're not going to just lose gear left and right. But the same goes for your hook too. You have your little knot here. Say you break your hook off and your line's on there and you don't want to go through the whole process of tying knots. You just got to feed. Let's see if I can get the camera focus. Feed this here back through your line. Pull the hook through the line, the main line, and then pull the main line off. And there you go. You're separate. You can put on a different size hook or a new hook or whatever you need to do. So this will also work great for a bobber rig. So let's get rid of this and start from scratch. So we want to tie another surgeon's loop, because this time we're going to put the snell on the bottom, because with a bobber rig you want the bobber on top. So fold in half, roll it over, 2 loops, bottom loop through the top loop. This takes a little bit of practice to get the finger memory right. So we have our loop. We cut off our tag, and now we just want to, instead of putting a weight at the bottom, we're going to put a snell on. So we take a snell, put the snell line through our main line, put the hook through the snell loop, Pull this tight. Get a good knot. So now we have our main line, ends with a loop. We tied the snell on to the loop. Then we can get a clip-on sinker, which is this right here. It's just basically a lead weight that a lot of people pinch with their teeth, but it's actually designed to be pinched with pliers. And we'll just basically put this weight onto the line, and when you close it, you crimp it tight. That's how it stays on the line. It just crimps on the line. So now we've got a hook at the very bottom, and as we go up the line, we've got a weight. So now we just got to put a bobber on. So you're going to go up whatever depth you want. You figure out maybe you want the hook, a foot or 2 feet below the bobber. And then you look at, here's the bobber. Now, the red side, generally I put it on the bottom. But when it starts to get dark, sometimes I'll flip it around so that I can see it. But the white sticks out pretty good. Now to put the bobber on, you just push down on this top button here. And you put the line, there's a little hook. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little hook. And it hooks the line like so. And then you run the line around the bobber to the button. And then now you're going to put your finger in the bottom like so. And you're going to push down here, and then there's another hook. So you get your line to go through the other hook. So now the line is hooked in the bottom, goes along the bobber, hooked in the top. The weight pulls on the bottom of the bobber, and it'll float in the water like so. Fish bites, bump down. So that's how to tie a couple of just basic rigs. Let's get a little crazy here and do a little more complicated knot. So this is what I was taught. It was called the fisherman's knot, but I know there's other names for it. I've heard them called it's called different things, but this is what I was taught by the person that got me into fishing. So you take your main line and you put it through the eyelet of the weight. Then you put it back through the eyelet of the weight. So basically now you have a loop that the weight can freely travel on. You get these two ends together and you fold it across in through, just like a surgeon's knot, but now instead of being on the bottom, it's on the top. So it goes through like so. So basically what you have is you have tied a knot around the shank, and then to make this, what makes this such a great knot is you take the weight and you put it through the loop. Now most knots, especially the more complicated ones you get, when you tighten them you get a lot of friction. So you always want to wet the line. And the best way to do this is with spit. So we got some spit on there. And we'll cinch this knot up. And then we will take the tag end and we cut it off. Now I will use this knot to tie on lures and weights and hooks directly to the line. This knot is one of the best fishing knots out there. I have never had a knot that I tied properly fail on me. But that takes a little more practice to do, and it gets a little complicated. As you can see, I'll pull on this knot all day long. It will not break. So let's show you, I'm going to show you that one more time. Because again, this one's a little more complicated. So we're going to take the line. And we're going to go through the eyelet of the weight, or hook, or jig, or whatever you're tying to. You're going to pull yourself out some distance here. Give yourself a lot of line to work with, especially when you're doing this for the first couple of times, because it's Sometimes it can be hard. So now we have our loop that the weight will float on, as you see the loop. And then we're going to take it. We're going to get it. You got to really have a good hold on it to get this to work right. So under, over, and back through, and then you put the weight through the line, through the loop rather, and you cinch it down, and then you lube the knot. And you cinch that really tight. There you go. Cut your tag end off. There you go. Fisherman's knot. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. This one's going to be a short one. Please like and subscribe if you got some information that was helpful. And stay tuned. It's still just about March here in Michigan, and we're going to have some great fishing videos coming up. I'm getting cabin fever, so the ice broke out the other day. Maybe I'll get some footage of the creek on the next video. And I'm going to be doing some fishing videos as soon as it gets a little bit warmer. I'm going to wait for the water temperature to come up. The fish are probably moving pretty slow right now. So thanks again for watching, and like and subscribe.